You've been conditioned to believe that niceness is a virtue that the world rewards. You've been told that if you're kind, respectful, and considerate, good things will come your way. But deep down, you know the truth. You've been hurt, overlooked, and taken advantage of more times than you care to count. How many times have you given your all to someone only to be discarded when they no longer needed you? How many times have you watched less qualified, less ethical people climb the ladder while you remained stuck at the bottom? How many times have you been the one everyone turns to for help, but when you need support, you find yourself completely alone? The harsh reality is this: niceness without strategy is just an invitation for exploitation. Machiavelli understood something that modern society refuses to acknowledge. Human nature is inherently selfish, and the world doesn't operate on fairness. It operates on power dynamics, strategic thinking, and calculated moves. In The Prince, Machiavelli didn't write about being evil. He wrote about survival in a world that devours the naive. He understood that virtue without cunning is weakness, that goodness without boundaries is self-destruction. And if you've been hurt repeatedly by being too nice, it's time you learned why. The problem isn't that you're a good person. The problem is that you've never learned to protect that goodness. You've been playing checkers while everyone else has been playing chess. You've been following rules that others have already abandoned. And until you understand the real game being played, you'll continue to be a victim of your own kindness. Nice people get hurt because they operate under a fundamental misconception. They believe that treating others well guarantees reciprocal treatment. This is the first and most dangerous delusion that Machiavelli would have shattered immediately. The truth is that your niceness sends a signal to the world, not that you're virtuous, but that you're harmless. And in a world where people are constantly assessing threats and opportunities, being perceived as harmless makes you a target. Predators in human form, manipulators, narcissists, and opportunists can spot unconditional niceness from miles away because it represents their ideal victim. When you're nice to everyone regardless of how they treat you, you're essentially advertising that you have no boundaries. You're showing that you can be taken advantage of without consequences. Machiavelli understood that respect isn't earned through kindness. Alone, it's earned through the perception that crossing you would be costly. Think about the people in your life who have hurt you the most. Did they respect your kindness, or did they exploit it? Did your niceness make them treat you better, or did it make them feel entitled to your time, energy, and resources without giving anything back? The pattern becomes clear once you're honest about it. The fatal flaw isn't being nice, it's being predictably nice. When people know they can treat you poorly, and you'll still be there, still be kind, still be available, they lose all incentive to treat you well. You've removed the consequences from bad behavior, which only encourages more of it. Machiavelli would tell you that your niceness should be conditional, strategic, and earned. Those who appreciate and reciprocate your kindness deserve more of it. Those who exploit it deserve boundaries, distance, and a very different version of you one they didn't expect and can't manipulate. Machiavelli's genius wasn't in advocating cruelty, was in advocating precision. He understood that indiscriminate kindness is actually a form of injustice because it rewards bad behavior and punishes good behavior equally. The solution isn't to become mean, it's to become selective. Selective kindness means you become a master of reading people and situations. You learn to identify who deserves your energy and who is simply trying to drain it. You develop the ability to distinguish between someone who is genuinely struggling and someone who is professionally victimizing others. This discrimination isn't cruelty, it's wisdom. When you practice selective kindness, something powerful happens. Your kindness becomes valuable. Scarcity creates value, and when people realize that your niceness isn't guaranteed, they start working to earn it. Those who have been taking advantage of you will suddenly find themselves having to prove their worth, while those who have always appreciated you will feel even more valued. The key is learning to withdraw your kindness strategically. This doesn't mean being cruel or vindictive. It means becoming unavailable to those who have proven they don't appreciate what you offer. Stop answering immediately when they call. Stop dropping everything to help them. Stop being their emotional dumping ground. Watch how quickly their behavior changes when they realize you're no longer guaranteed. Machiavelli taught that a prince should be loved if possible, but feared if necessary. In your personal relationships, this translates to being kind when it's appreciated, but formidable when it's not. People should know that while you're capable of great kindness, you're equally capable of complete indifference to those who mistreat you. This selective approach protects your energy for those who deserve it, while teaching others that your kindness comes with conditions. It's not manipulation, it's basic respect for yourself and proper resource allocation. You wouldn't give money to everyone who asked. Why would you give your emotional energy to everyone who demands it? Here's where most nice people go wrong. They confuse being liked with being respected, and they prioritize the former over the latter. Machiavelli understood that while being liked is pleasant, being respected is essential for survival and success. The tragic irony is that by desperately seeking to be liked, nice people often end up being neither liked nor respected. Respect is earned through boundaries, consistency, and the demonstrated ability to protect yourself and your interests. When you have no boundaries, people may find you pleasant, but they don't respect you. They see you as someone who doesn't respect themselves enough to demand proper treatment, so why should they provide it? The psychology is simple. Humans naturally test boundaries to see what they can get away with. This isn't necessarily malicious, it's often unconscious social behavior. When someone encounters a person with no boundaries, they instinctively push further, not because they're evil, but because the lack of resistance signals that more pushing is acceptable. People actually feel more comfortable around those who have clear boundaries because it creates a predictable framework for interaction. When you have strong boundaries, others know exactly where they stand with you. They know what behavior will be tolerated and what won't. This clarity creates respect and, paradoxically, often leads to genuine affection as well. The mistake nice people make is thinking that setting boundaries will make people dislike them. The opposite is usually true. People respect those who respect themselves. They're drawn to those who demonstrate self-worth through their actions, not just their words. When you show that you value yourself enough to demand proper treatment, others begin to value you more as well. Machiavelli would remind you that it's better to be respected and occasionally disliked than to be constantly taken advantage of while people smile to your face. The people who get angry when you set boundaries are usually the ones who were benefiting from your lack of them. Their anger is actually confirmation that your boundaries are necessary and working. The final piece of the puzzle is developing what Machiavelli would call strategic emotional intelligence, the ability to understand and manage not just your own emotions, but the emotional dynamics of every interaction. Nice people get hurt because they're emotionally transparent and reactive, which makes them easy to manipulate and control. Emotional transparency sounds like a virtue, but it's actually a liability when dealing with manipulative people. When others can predict your emotional responses, they can trigger those responses to control your behavior. They know exactly which buttons to push to make you feel guilty, angry, or compliant. Your emotional predictability becomes their tool of manipulation. The solution isn't to become emotionally cold, it's to become emotionally strategic. This means learning to control your emotional responses, especially in challenging situations. When someone is trying to provoke you, your calm response disrupts their script. When someone is trying to guilt you into something, your emotional stability prevents their manipulation from working. Strategic emotional intelligence also means understanding the emotional needs and motivations of others, then deciding whether and how to address them. Instead of automatically trying to make everyone feel better, you learn to ask, is this person's emotional state my responsibility? What are they trying to achieve by expressing this emotion to me? How does responding serve my interests and values? This doesn't make you manipulative, it makes you wise. You're simply refusing to be emotionally manipulated while maintaining your ability to be genuinely empathetic when it's appropriate. You're choosing when to engage emotionally rather than being at the mercy of every emotional demand placed on you. Machiavelli understood that emotions are powerful forces that can be used for or against you. When you develop strategic emotional intelligence, you transform from someone who is controlled by emotions, both your own and others, into someone who understands and navigates emotional dynamics with purpose and protection.